The Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama, a two-class challenge series for emerging talent and enthusiast racers. Platinum, the fastest class, with the newest Porsche 911 GT3 Cup race cars. Gold, for 911s between 2005 to 2009 model years. And within those two classes, a Masters Championship for drivers aged 45 and older. Tyres from Yokohama. Race cars from Porsche. Setup is critical, but talent and racecraft are how you win. Every second counts. No mistake goes unpunished. Drivers aren't pros, but this isn't amateur hour. It's the largest single-make series on the planet. This is the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge, presented by Yokohama. 2013 has been an historic year for the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. Let's remember, it's the 50th anniversary of the 911, surely one of the most enduring automotive images ever. Round 5 at Watkins Glen marked the 100th race for the series. Angel Benitez won in Platinum, Ashely P2, Madison P3 for the race.
I mean, Yokohama and in Watkins Glen was all perfect for me. That's the kind of race I like. Just push, don't stop. Push until the race ends.
While in round 6, Ashely got her first IMSA race win. That was the first female to win a Porsche GT3 Cup race in North America, and she extended her championship points lead over Madison Snow, while Angel dropped back after a second DNF for the year. In Masters, Craig Jerson and Casey Kuhlman were separated by 1 point after the weekend at the Glen. John Goetz won both races in the gold class, but Michael Levitas continues to lead in the class points. For rounds 7 and 8, the development series makes its way to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the venue that many of us remember as Mosport. For the last 50 years, it has been thrilling audiences here in Canada and around the world with its unique cocktail of fast sweeping bends and unforgiving runoff areas.
I mean, this is a very scary place to run. The 3 fastest corners on this track are off-camber, downhill, and blind. So your visual sight picture is not what you're used to when you're faced with such extremes.
The Watkins Glen was who was the quickest won the race. Here is actually mentally tired, it's really hot, so it's going to be more technical.
I had heard horror stories about the runoffs, the grass, the big incidents, all that stuff, the high speed. And then I show up and find out that all the runoffs, well, most of the runoffs have been paved. They've got a really nice new scoring and timing building. The facility's nice. So I'm kind of like, you know, what are all these people complaining about? But yeah, I guess they did that pretty recently. So I guess I was fortunate to never see it the other way.
Now under new management, there's been a big financial investment, a sparkling new media and hospitality centre, and improvements to the track surfaces as well, with old pieces of concrete taken away and replaced by shiny new asphalt. In 2012, Angel Benitez Jr. memorably referred to this track as a monkey with a knife. His friend in the paddock, Michael Mills, made up some commemorative stickers just to remind everybody of what a great description that was.
Angel and I have become pretty close. We're pretty good friends, and you know, from last year we had the famous monkey with a knife quote, and he doesn't know this, but since Sebring, we had a sticker developed as a monkey with a knife, and IMSA got a hold of it very quickly, and we all collectively decided to wait till Mosport to do a reveal. So every car in the race will have a monkey with a knife sticker, and I heard that there's potential for the safety cars to have it, so we'll see. So we'll get Angel pretty good on that one.
It was a great comment from Angel because he's a really colorful personality, and it was just impromptu. It just came out. You could tell it was genuine. He was really relaying the drama that unfolds here, just like facing a monkey with a knife. You know, you don't know what's going to happen.
To be honest with you, I don't believe it. Like, yeah, it's the fact that everyone likes to actually refer to Mosport now with that phrase that it's a monkey with a knife, because everyone understood that yes, it's dangerous, so you have to be careful with that track.
So as we head towards the second half of the 2013 season, many of the championship contenders are already making themselves known. So summer heat Long hours away from the family raises the eternal question, why do these drivers race?
I wanted it, at the end of the day, at the end of my life, I want to have some sort of impact. I want to have my name somewhere saying, he did that.
Yeah, it defines the rest of my life, so it's the core of who I am.
The fact that you are driving something that got a lot of power and is dangerous when you actually push to the limit, it makes me feel better that I'm one of those few guys that actually can keep the control of something that could be out of control.
I just love it, and I strive to always be better, and it's just, I feel like being behind the wheel. Every time I get in the car, every session, I'm just constantly learning, and when I improve, I want more, and I want more, and that's honestly, I think it's just passion that keeps me going.
You know, just a test of will and driver and car and having everything work together. It's very, very difficult, and for me, you can never be perfect, so you're always trying to get better and better every lap.
The consequences are so extreme on both ends. You know, the consequences of failure at the racetrack are very severe, both financially and from a health and well-being standpoint. And I think it's that big extreme negative that creates the gap to what makes the positive so amazing. When you win a race, you have a good race performance, it's just overwhelming because it's juxtaposed against what you know could have happened.
For some of the leading drivers in the IMSA GT3 Cup presented by Yokohama, the word development, as in development series, is very apposite this weekend. Although Madison Snow has been here before, he's never won here. His best result, a pair of second places. He's been taking some extra tuition and practice to get himself up to the absolute best he can be for this weekend. Ashely Freiberg, Miles Maroney have never been here before, so they are going to be extending their experience this weekend with the series. Here in Canada, qualifying didn't go exactly as we expected. There was rain around the circuit, but this is a development series and these drivers are going to have to learn to drive, to qualify and indeed to race in the best and the worst of conditions. While safety is always the top priority from race control, the reconnaissance laps seemed to be going well. There was no standing water on the track. But then, Ashely Freiberg, series leader, went off the circuit and damaged her car. But still the conditions were deemed good enough to go out and qualify. Until, with lightning in the air and the safety of the corner workers at stake, race control called a halt to proceedings. Race 1, and the decision was taken to form the grid from the best time posted in practice by each of the drivers. For series leader Ashely Freiberg, things have gone from bad to worse. The damage sustained on her car in qualifying cannot be repaired, and she'll miss not one but both of the races here this weekend. Her two major competitors, Angel Benitez Jr., 2 DNFs, and Madison Snow, 1 DNF, have the chance to make up some ground in the championship standings. The front row, Madison Snow in the 62, Benitez in the 25, then Uri and Sandberg behind them as we go, green flag, and the 45 minutes is underway and straight away down to the inside. Madison Snow protecting his position into turn number 1, uses a little bit of the rumble strip on the exit, but nice and clean through the first couple of corners.
The 5th pole position of the season for Madison Snow, takes full advantage, leads into turn 1, over the hill also in turn 2, but right there on his heels there, number 25 on Angel Benitez Jr., and he wants past.
Madison Snow from pole position did what every poleman should do, protect his line into the first corner. Angel Benitez Jr. was keen to be by but couldn't get it done, and the first part of the race was these two guys driving away from the field but being very, very careful not to have a problem themselves. Excellent close racing from these two young chargers. In third place, the effort racing Porsche of Sloan Uri just didn't have the pace of the leading duo, but he was out on his own for quite a while until Brett Sandberg, with a beautifully paced drive through the field, began to challenge as we went into the last third of the race. Using the practice times to set the grid was a real advantage for Craig Durson. His times were good early in the week. Casey Kuhlman had been fine in the rain and looked like he would be a real challenge, but when those times were scrubbed, he was further back in the field than he wanted to be. He was going to have a real battle to get up through the field and challenge for that Masters category. The great thing about longer races, endurance races, is you don't have to make the pass right here, right now. And the IMSA GT3 Cup by Yokohama is a perfect example of teaching young drivers patience and racecraft. Angel Benitez Jr. had followed Madison Snow for lap after lap, sizing up where he was strong and his competitor was slightly weaker. And when a slight mistake came, he took the chance and the lead. Oh, and he's the battle on the inside! Oh, that is a marvellous manoeuvre into turn number 4. If the race finishes now, Madison is the championship leader. So there's no real need for him to go past that car in front. But he's a racer. He's a race car driver, and you can't tell people to be second when he knows he's got a chance of being first. It all comes down to this. Benitez Jr. goes in deep. He's gone wide. He spins up the back end of the Yokohama shot machine, and they go across the line absolutely together. I think that's Snow. Yes. I think it's Snow. Got it by just about the width of a number plate. So confirming the results of round 7 of the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup by Yokohama at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. At the head of the field and in the Platinum class, Madison Snow by the smallest of margins over Angel Benitez Jr., who I think may just be kicking himself for that last corner slight indiscretion. In third position, Sloan Ury, just about holding off Brett Sandberg, who really wanted that final spot on the podium for True Speed. Craig Jewison has extended his lead over Casey Kuhlman in the Masters class, Anthony Mantella second, John Bennett in third. In the gold category, another great win for Michael Levitas. Now, if anyone had anything left in the fast locker, now was the time to bring it out. So time to settle back into our seats after we're pretty much on the edge of them for all of round number 7 as we look forward to round number 8. So as the green flag flew, a fantastic start from Madison Snow off the pole to keep Angel Benitez Jr. in second. Michael Mills trying out the new paved area on the outside of turn number 1, and a slight change from the previous race as Brett Sandberg finally manages to get past Sloan Ury and claim third place. While the leaders were able to get away, the ever-close racing and the midfield caused casualties at Moss Corner, the hairpin halfway around the famous Mosport track. Danny Gianfrancesco, Patrick Otto Madsen, Michael Levitas and Mark Larno all involved. Mark Larno going sideways and the other 3 drivers getting stuck in behind him. Full course caution, bunching the field right back up behind the Porsche Panamera safety car. So with the lights out on the safety car, that means we're going back to green flag racing. Always a dangerous time for the man at the head of the field, who has to control the pace of the rest of the competitors, but also make sure that he gets a decent start. All was not well for the youngster's car, a left rear puncture. He had to tour all the way around a full lap into the pit lane, and that would put him well down the field. It's a disaster for the championship leader, dropping all the way back to 18th. But a fine fighting drive and some very decisive overtaking manoeuvres saw Madison Snow get back to 14th in class and claim 2 vital points for his championship challenge. With Angel Benitez Jr. consolidating his lead, the battle was joined once again for second position. Brett Sandberg holding off Sloan Ury down the ultra-quick back straight into turn number 8, side-by-side action. All the way through this very tricky sequence of corners, the car's on the absolute ragged edge of adhesion. It was not until down towards the intimidating turn 1 that Sloan Ury made the pass stick and claimed that second position. Positions 5 to 8 were being keenly contested as well, with Maroney for 2-speed, Durson for NGT Motorsport and the family-run Thompson Racing Team for Colin Thompson, as well as Casey Kuhlman, all in the thick of the action. It was Young Gun versus Master, Young Gun versus Master, all trying to improve their positions. It was a perfectly paced race by Angel Benitez Jr. and he won it ahead of Sloan Uri in second, and Brett Sandberg with another consistent run gets on the podium this time. In the Masters category, Craig Durson notches up another win ahead of Casey Kuhlman and Phil Fogg Jr. In the Gold category, winning a battle of attrition, Frank Seiler. So here are the results for the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup by Yokohama for rounds 7 and 8 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. In the championship standings in the Masters category, Craig Durson just stretching away from Casey Kuhlman. In gold, and despite his problems this weekend, Michael Levitas hangs on to the lead. But it's the Platinum class and the head of the championship that has everyone's attention. At the end of the two Canadian races, Madison Snow and Angel Benitez Jr. are tied on points, with Benitez ahead on races 1. And what of Ashely Freiberg, who came into this weekend leading the championship, but with 2 DNFs she's dropped down to 4th. And congratulations to Brett Sandberg. Why do we go racing? Well, Brett was down the championship table before this weekend, but 2 great results has put him into the championship hunt in 3rd position.